What's up, guys? Welcome back to another iPopcorn for that review. I'm Chris.
I'm Nick.
And today we are talking about Y2K.
Any lucky lady gonna get the midnight kiss?
What's up, Laura?
We're actually going to this New Year's thing. It's going to be a total show.
Y2K is real!
Someone's on the net.
You know, if you might not have been around or alive when this thing was happening in real life, but in 1999, everybody was freaking out that all these computers were going to glitch and the world's basically going to come to an end in the year 2000 because of some, like, error with... Do you remember this specifically?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that at the time? Yeah, it's like everybody thought that computers would think that it's now 1900 because they're not familiar with the year 2000 and they would... Something like that. But this movie obviously takes it to the extreme. It's a new A24 movie, kind of a sci-fi horror comedy, I guess I would say. Probably in that order. And this is the directorial debut of Kyle Mooney. So,
Is it?
SNL alum. Yeah.
Didn't he do Brigsby Bear? Or did he just write that?
He just starred in it.
Oh,
Maybe he wrote
okay.
it too, but this is his directorial debut.
Okay.
So I don't know him from a lot. You've apparently seen Brigsby Bear. I've not seen that. I don't know him from a lot other than his SNL stuff. But yeah, first time directing, and he has a part in this movie too. But we also got Jaden Martell, who a lot of people know from the It remake, and he was also on a movie called Arcadian this year with Nick Cage. We got Rachel Ziegler, Julian Dennison from Hunt for the Wilder People and Deadpool 2, Fred Durst.
Fred Durst
shows up in this movie.
Yeah.
And Eduardo Franco from Stranger Things season 4. So it's an interesting cast. It's an interesting premise. What were your thoughts going into this, and how do you feel about the execution of all this, and what do you think about it?
I think I definitely liked it for what it was. Being a kid of the 90s and early 2000s, I think if you were a teenager in the late 90s, early 2000s, you're probably gonna like this movie just because of the nostalgia bait from it. And I mean, there's quite a few funny references through the movies from other movies and things during the 90s, obviously. Like there's a Hackers reference, I'm pretty sure, and like a Lord of the Rings reference. And the music, like the very beginning, I feel like had just, like, they try to hit you with a lot of nostalgia bombs. He's riding his bike, and then there's like a family doing the Macarena, and like the fucking L on the forehead and all that. I don't know. I thought it was fun. It wasn't great, but I thought if you're, like I said, if you grew up in that time period, you'll probably have a little bit of fun with this movie at least.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see how this movie will play for people who, you know, just have heard about what this time period was like. Because it almost feels like a 90s movie, but at times you can kind of forget what time period you're supposed to be in. But for the most part, they do kind of keep trying to remind you. Peter. They do keep trying to remind you of, you know, what time period you're in, especially with needle drops. There's a lot of needle drops all throughout this. Some good 90s music. There was some where I was wondering, like, is that a little too old to play? And then I was like, well, in 1999 you would be listening to stuff that's 5-6 years old, so it's, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, like the AIM thing really brought me back to it, because I use that, a shit ton of that all the time. And I didn't realize, because that's, you know, I wasn't necessarily a teenager in 1999, but it's still early 2000s. We were still using that stuff. And I didn't realize that was around that early. I guess it came out in like 97. Chat rooms.
Yeah, I think if you really sat down and fact check a lot of this, there might be some holes in some of that. But I mean, I guess in 1999, I had internet in 1999, but I don't remember having AOL Instant Messenger. That does seem like a later on thing.
This came out in 97.
I did look it up. Apparently it launched in 97, so we just weren't aware of it or something, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was not everybody in my life, not everybody had internet in their home at all in 1999, so, you know, it was starting to be a big thing. But man, I hate to be the guy, but you know what, it's time for the old switcheroo.
Okay.
Because I don't like it.
That's fair. It's not for everybody. It's definitely reminiscent of like a stoner comedy of the time a little bit, but not as much of the stoner aspect, but it's still kind of there, I guess. I guess there's a lot of weed in the movie.
Yeah, it does feel like kind of like a stoner comedy of everything gets compared to like Superbad, and there's obviously comparisons to make with Superbad, because you've got like the nerdier kid and this like chubby but like big personality guy, so he kind of like is kind of compensating for the fact that he doesn't look like everybody else with his personality, and then the other guy's kind of the dweeby kid, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of a Can't Hardly Wait meets the apocalypse.
Yeah, it's like the end of the world or the world's end.
This is the end. Yeah.
This is the end. It's a little bit like that, but for like, it's funny because it's like an R-rated movie, but things about it felt a little PG-13. Like it's almost like if you remember 1999, people were a lot meaner than this. Like I would have maybe peppered in like the bullying and stuff. Like it was actually a lot more hardcore than that, and they could have gotten away with R-rating on saying some.
They probably don't want to drop some certain slurs that are very inappropriate, you know. I mean, there was a lot of that back in the day for sure.
There was a lot of that. So here's my other thing too. Like, so I didn't really connect to a lot of these characters. For some reason I haven't been a huge fan of Jaden Martell. I thought he was good in It, but then I watched that movie that I mentioned, Arcadian, earlier this year, and I really didn't like it. And it's not like he was the reason I didn't like it. He just didn't help it for me, and I just didn't. He was doing his best with what he was given here. But like people like Rachel Zegler, who I haven't seen the stuff that they're known best for, so like West Side Story is kind of what she's known best for.
Right, and she's going to be playing Snow White in the new adaptation.
And she's going to be known for that one way or another, positive or negative.
I don't want that.
It's a Sunday cheeseburger.
I don't want that.
But I love Julian Dennison because of Hunt for the Wilder People and everything I've seen him in. And so I liked his character, and he was the thing that I was liking the most. And
yeah, that's fair.
And then and then the other guy I kind of liked the most, although I didn't think it was like my favorite. I liked him better in Stranger Things, but Eduardo Franco, I liked him best in Stranger Things, but I liked seeing him in this. And then
I thought that was pretty funny though. But yeah, the funny parts that hit were pretty funny to me, at least.
So I can't deny that there were a couple moments, but I wish it was enough to bring me out of not enjoying this. But at the end of the day, man, I was pretty disappointed because it just felt like it's another one of those times where a movie is like damn near tailor-made for you. You know, I wasn't 16 in 1999, but I was like 11. I remember what 16-year-olds were like.
How do you do, fellow kids?
I remember what 16-year-olds were doing. I was listening to the same music and everything. But something about it just felt a little... Well, you know what it is it felt like a guy's first time directing a movie. So I wouldn't say like anything Kyle Mooney does from now on I'll never watch. Because almost everybody's first time it's an anomaly for a first time director to like knock it out of the park the first time. It is what it is. I just wanted to laugh more of the time. And it was like kind of an awkward thing because there was like other people in the theater. And it felt like it wasn't connecting with them too. You know, maybe if you were in a room with a bunch of people that were like cracking up, dying over this, it would have had a different impact. But it just felt like not a whole lot was landing. Like you said, the best parts are very spoilery. But I'll just say in general, the best parts are some of the.
Yeah.
But it takes a little while to get to some of those, and they do use practical effects. And I tend to like the practical effects, but it didn't super land it for me necessarily.
I did connect with some of the characters a little bit because I feel like I knew a lot of people that were like, when I grew up during that early 2000s, I knew a bunch of like hippie people like Kyle Mooney plays in the movie, and the whole collective, and it just, I was like, oh god, I know every single one of these people right here.
He reminded me of a bunch of RAF guides that I used to work with.
Right. The face he makes like when he's like giggling at him, I'm like, I know people who like laugh like that after smoking weed.
Yeah, for sure.
But so, I see where you're coming from.
I think the parts that I just wish it was the ratio was off. There were parts of it that made me laugh for sure, and there's parts of it that'll make everybody laugh. And I feel like I want to give it I'm finding myself wanting to give it a higher score than I really feel about it because I can see where other people would like it more than me. But it's like I got to be honest and give you what my actual.
Well, what would you give it then?
Man, I think about a 3.5.
Okay.
Out of 10.
I mean, I know
the music's got good. Good. It makes you. It reminds you of the time period for sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted a lot more jokes to land, and the moments that did were there, and that But left a little disappointed with it.
Yeah.
What were you starting to say there?
I mean, yeah, I get it, and I'm probably talking it up a lot more for the score I'm gonna give it because I do think it was pretty mid. So I was probably gonna give it like a 5.5. But like I said, if you grew up during that time period, you'd find something to find enjoyable in this movie, I think.
And that's what I want to. There's a big caveat on what I'm saying about it because I do think most people my age or you know, maybe a little older. It just felt like it actually skewed a little younger. So I would almost say like you might enjoy this even more than me if you're younger than me, even though the time period is what it is.
Right.
You know, you get to listen to some good tunes. There's some funny people in it. I wish we could have seen some characters for a little longer than we saw.
Yeah, I did like one scene in particular when they kind of show up to the big party, and it shows like the different cliques of kids. You got like the kids, the ravers, the skaters, the ska kids, and it plays the metal kids, and it kind of plays all the different songs. That was pretty funny.
That was a good scene, and also another standout scene for me was the. There's almost like a Tim and Eric vibe to, because Tim Heidecker is in this movie very briefly, but
Alicia Silverstone too, which was surprising.
Yeah, both of them didn't have a whole lot to do. I was hoping we could get a little more Tim Heidecker-isms out of Tim Heidecker, but there's a moment that made me think of old Tim and Eric where it's basically like the computer's like infomercial for how cool the end of the world for humanity is going to be and how dope like the new future technology ruled world is. And I was like, man, this is the vibe I wanted spread out more evenly throughout this whole thing, because that nailed it. There were some other things that really nailed it. There were some jokes that like surprised me with their timing without getting into spoilers, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Just like, you know, subverting your expectations of what you think's about to happen in a way that actually did land.
Yeah.
So you know, maybe it is more like a 4 or something like that, but yeah, I didn't get quite what I wanted out of it. So it is what it is. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you watching as always. We'll see you in the next one. Comment below if you've seen this movie. Maybe you liked it more than we did or less than we did or whatever. We'd love to hear from you, though. And hit like on this video. That'll help us know you like what we're doing and help more people see these videos. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you.
See ya.